Alright, so this is going to be the first part of the second build log. So as you can tell, I got the little gun pod built. And the hole's definitely a lot more smaller than I thought it would be, so I'm going to have to really rethink where exactly I'm going to put the speaker inside this thing. I also printed out the little supports that I added so I can figure out if I want to just rig up the actual speaker inside the main body, or if I want to build some type of canal system to get the sound waves and whatnot to shoot out the gun port right here. That's why I printed this out in white, because this is my test build. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to waste my ink on the on this thing until not waste my ink, but use all my ink until I get to the main build. So basically, it's just a prep build for me to figure out how exactly I'm going to put this thing together before I actually start printing all the parts. And I'm actually going to take back what I said about me waiting for him to release the HD variant. This is one of the textures directly from the version that he uploaded. This texture right here is more than sufficient and more than crystal clear for what I need to do. And like I said, this texture here is custom made by him. It's just absolutely amazing how well this simple texture is. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish up figuring out where exactly I want to place a speaker system, and then after that I'm going to actually go and actually start building this thing. So I'll come back probably like another few hours when I actually have the speaker set up in this thing. Also, my betta fish White Knight has a front row seat to watch me build his aircraft. His fins are a little damaged, but overall he's still in perfect health. But he has a perfect front row seat to see what I'm doing. My puffer, on the other hand, he tends to hang out behind the filter. But White Knight has the ability to watch me build his aircraft. Don't you, White Knight? Alright, so I more or less finished up the pre-build section of the Draken 3 I was talking about. As you can tell, it's pretty basic. It's kind of hard to tell that's a Draken 3, but this is all that I needed to get to figure out how I'm going to place the speakers and whatnot. And him actually adding this little reinforcement structure piece right here is really going to help when it comes to actually attaching the speaker system, building a wooden superstructure inside this thing to hold the thing together, and more or less make this thing a bit more of an easier build experience. So, what I'm going to do is that tomorrow I'm not going to actually work on the speaker setup because I've been up since 1 a.m., 2 a.m. It's nearly 4 p.m. and I'm pretty freaking sleepy because I've been more or less working on this thing since 4 a.m. straight. So I can at least give you a general idea of where I'm going to be placing the speakers. Now these speakers are incredibly heavy, so they're a bit of a pain in the butt to properly mount out, and these little pieces right here are very sharp and they cut me in there, and I get cut quite a bit. So yeah, but generally speaking, I'm thinking it's going to go right about here and be pointing in this general direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this section all over again, but I'm going to actually have foam board and wooden popsicle sticks throughout this whole section right here, bracing this whole piece up. And basically what I've done is I just have this thing held in by a few bits of hot glue on both top and bottom, so I can still use this form right here to properly figure out where I'm going to be placing the speakers correctly. And this little section here will be the actual first major section I actually build for the Draken 3. But what I'm going to do to make sure that the speakers are actually, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some type of box system for these speakers, and for the sound waves to shoot out of this aircraft, I'm just going to reinforce this area, this little key area right here. And I'm just going to have this whole little area cut out. That way, so it's just a big open hole for the sound waves and whatnot to be shot out. And in theory, if I do everything correctly, this thing should get a lot more louder than high-tech aircraft that I built a while back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have knitting mesh. This is white netting mesh. I'm going to have black netting mesh. And basically throughout this to basically stop stingers from getting in there, protecting the speakers and everything else. My annoying cat wants out of the room. Yes, you do. Out. Out. You're annoying. Out. Cats can be incredibly annoying, but when they're good cats, you can't fault them. So yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to rebuild this section, reinforce this key section, and figure out how exactly I'm going to mount these speakers, and hopefully the box system I'm going to build for these things will be able to have more than enough resonance to really help these speakers have a big punch in the aircraft. And like I said, I'm hoping that I do everything correctly to make this thing louder than high-tech aircraft. I'm thinking that'll be the case due to these speakers being pretty freaking big and bulky compared to the speakers I have inside high-tech aircraft. Oh yeah, and he also released the files for the little winglet drones and whatnot. So I'm not going to be building my Draken 3 until he releases all the texture files, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up building the Mikamo variant that he's going to be doing. But the one thing I will build to completion until as I wait for him to release all the texture files is I'm going to build this little drone right here. Well, because the drone looks freaking cool and it's something to keep me busy. But first I'm going to rebuild this, build the little speaker box system and everything else. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't think I'll start on the drone tomorrow. It depends on how long it takes for me to rebuild this section, reinforce it, then attach the speakers properly and everything else. But here's one thing I do want to talk about for one quick second is Paprika 4. I don't know why this is, but whenever I try to print something out on Paprika 4 from my Windows 7 machine, it just never works. Whenever I try to print out the stuff I need for this thing, it prints out as just a pure black sheet. No textures, no nothing. So I have to scrounge up one of my Windows 10 computers. This is what's left of an Acer laptop, and I have to use this thing to print out to print everything out properly. I don't know why that is with Paprika 4, but it's one of the very few times where I am forced to use Windows 10. But with that said, what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm going to probably end up building a custom case for this little motherboard and whatnot. That way, so these cables aren't flopping around and this thing won't be so much of a pain in the butt to lug around. I'll probably just make a super small little foam board box around this thing. Have like a little cooler fan either here or here to help dissipate the heat. This thing is supposed to be fanless, but once I put a foam board box in this thing's going to heat up really quick. But yeah. For right now, this is what I'm using to print out the stuff I need to build the Draken 3. I don't like Windows 10, but it's one of the times I'm happy that I have a computer that has Windows 10 on it, even though it's not really much of a computer anymore.